Explosive new evidence is yet to come in the Hunter Biden case, according to Rudy Giuliani. Of course, he was one of the original possessors of the Biden hard drive, and he says that the New York Post has yet to process the majority of the information on it. It says they maybe even have only looked at a third of it so far. He's given us a snippet of what we can expect to hear in the coming days from the New York Post, and we're going to be giving our initial reaction to that, to the new information that he's given us, and what that might mean for the Biden campaign as we come into the final stretch of the election. This is Political Election 2020. I'm Jan Smith, as always, joined by Connor Allen.
Hello.
Guys, please, if you do enjoy our content, subscribe. We know about 10% of you are subscribers. If more of you want to come and subscribe, if you enjoy it, that would be great. Give us a like, comment down below, and have a discussion about this. That's what we love doing. But honestly, the best thing you can do, especially considering the way that the media has reacted to this story, is share this video, share it far and wide, and make sure everyone knows the truth and knows what's going on. Don't let the media continue to suppress this story and, try and help Biden win this election unfairly. So let's jump into it. So Rudy Giuliani, he's done a video on his own personal YouTube, and he's basically been talking about what's in the hard drive, what we can come to expect in the coming days, and this is just how he introduced it as well.
In future days, you will see texts, emails, and photos that demonstrate crimes committed by the Biden crime family in China, probably most of all, Russia, and several other countries. But in seeing these, you're going to wonder, how was the money distributed? What happened to all these millions and millions and millions of dollars that went from the crookedest man in Ukraine to Hunter Biden, who at the time was not just a recovering crack addict, but a crack addict?
Okay, so the key thing there, this information is coming in the future days, and he refers to them as the Biden crime family because the whole family is implicated on what's on this information. And this is the guy who has had access to this hard drive for coming up to a year now. He's processed all of this information, and he's, laying it out kind of like a prosecutor, which obviously he was, in an opening statement.
No, absolutely. He wouldn't say these things unless he had the evidence right there to back it up. He's a well-respected guy, been in public life in the USA for longer than we've been alive, yeah. This is a man who really knows how to make a case. He really knows how to do things. And just the fact that he's saying this, it's crazy, isn't it? And when you listen, feel free to check out the video because we're going to include the link down below in the description. But it just sounds like an episode of The Sopranos or something, because it's awful. It's huge, and it almost beggars belief.
Yeah, Giuliani, so before he was the mayor in New York, he was obviously a famous prosecutor. He's put down multiple mafia crime mobs families. The way he talks about this, it's almost like he's talking about one of those families, right? Like this big racketeering crime that's going on among the whole family, with money laundering and all this, nefarious activity going on. But what's interesting?
Yeah, you don't use these kinds of words. If you've dealt with organized crime, you're kind of aware of the magnitude of it, so you don't use these words lightly. Like, you really don't. Like, if you've had contact with mob bosses, you don't call someone a mob boss, because you kind of have a respect for the magnitude of just what they get into, right?
Yeah.
So for him to be using these words, it's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said that perfect there. He has a respect for the magnitude of the words that he's using. So when he uses these words, we can assume he's not using them lightly. I think what's interesting as well is, with the New York Post, he said, obviously they've only probably processed like a third of this. And obviously, straight away, the mainstream media, with the first couple of articles that came from the New York Post, have looked to suppress this story. And, in a kind of Streisand effect, what's happened is it's, if anything, brought more attention to it. And it seems as though the New York Post, haven't necessarily led with the most incriminating stuff. There's loads more to come. And as they process that information on the hard drive, it's going to come at a time when there's absolutely loads and loads of attention on what's going on. And it may actually end up backfiring for the media and for Biden campaign because they brought all the attention to it at the absolute worst possible point.
Yeah, and it's a really beautiful thing to see the conservative community in effect, isn't it? Because all the attention that's brought through this, it's all done at the grassroots level. It's all about people talking and sharing this article because social media companies and big tech have done their absolute best to suppress and hide this story. The mainstream media don't cover it. You can go on CNN right now and you won't find a single mention of it. If you look at the debates last night, the town hall last night, wasn't mentioned. So they've gone all out to suppress it. But eventually, there's enough of a storm about this now that when they do cover it, the impact is going to be like a volcano erupting when you have all that built up pressure underneath just erupt into the surface.
Yeah.
It's going to be a beautiful thing to see.
And here's the thing as well, I just want to add, we have good reason to believe that this information is factual. Biden's campaign themselves haven't even denied it. They haven't even denied it. And along with all the photos, the private photos that you won't find anywhere else that have been released, it gives good credence that this information is legitimate. So when you take that into account, if it is true, this is one of the biggest scandals in American political history.
In world history, because not only has, governments fall, governments have scandals, whatever, but then to have the entire media apparatus bent to try and cover this up, it's incredible. It really does run to the core of American society.
This is the equivalent of the mainstream media trying to suppress Watergate. Can you imagine, right?
Absolutely.
A huge scandal like this, and the media is trying to cover it up. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I never imagined that something like this would happen in America in our lifetime. China, this is textbook actions of the Chinese government, right? But to happen in America, I just think it I don't know. It's worrying, and I do fear for the future of the media in the country.
It's like North Korea, isn't it? When you go to North Korea and you ask them about current affairs and they just are completely unaware because the entire state apparatus is in control of the media. That's the parallel we can draw to.
Yeah.
To do that to the United States, wow. Just like you say, wow.
So I just want to get into as well, very briefly now, Giuliani, he obviously did, if you go watch this video, you can go watch it in full. He does kind of, ramble on a little bit, but he does mention or show this text here that was found on the laptop. I'm just going to read it out. It says, "I love you all, but, oh my God, I don't receive any respect." And that's fine, I guess. Works for you, apparently. I hope you can all do what I did and pay for everything for this entire family for 30 years. It's really hard. But don't worry, unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salaries. So this is a text from Hunter Biden to Naomi Biden. And in his own words, apparently he's paid for everything in the family. He's paid for, Giuliani says, his half-sister's entire college education, like hundreds of thousands. But obviously the real smoking gun here at the end is where he says, unlike Pop, I won't make you give me half your salary. It seems to indicate that this money that's being channeled into Hunter Biden's just a medium, right? He's the way in which the money gets to the Biden family, but then it is distributed among the family. That seems to be what this indicates.
Yeah, sure. So you have money literally flowing in from the mayor of Moscow's wife from Ukraine, from China, going into Hunter, that Hunter is giving half his salary to Joe and paying for the rest of his family to do things. Isn't that incredible? That hostile government's money has worked its way through this system of intermediaries to Joe Biden, the then Vice President of the United States. Never anything seemed like this before.
And of course, Biden pushes for the prosecutor who is investigating the Burisma energy firm that his son works for. He pushes for him being fired. And of course, he plays down China and how much of an enemy and how much of a threat China are to America. All at a time when his son is receiving hundreds of millions from these countries. So
absolutely, he's taking policy decisions that are in favor of these countries whilst receiving money from those countries and benefiting from it. That's incredible.
And here's the thing: because the media doesn't report on it, it makes you second guess. It's like, well, hold on, maybe I'm missing something. It's like, no, if this information is correct, this is it's probably, like you said, the biggest scandal one of the biggest scandals in politics in the world. So
absolutely,
it just bemuses me that it's not there everywhere on the front page of every news outlet. And we know that the standards have already dropped so considerably that they're willing to publish stories on, hearsay and offhand remarks. I mean, the Steele dossier itself with the whole Russia hoax was totally discredited and was a load of garbage. Yet that got 3+ years in the press. The Trump tax returns, which again, anonymous sources, if they were leaked, they were leaked illegally by someone working for the IRS, probably. Totally illegally stolen documents. Let's remember this hard drive, effectively, because Hunter Biden didn't come and pick up the hard drive, because of the contract he signs with the repairman who was repaired it then becomes his legal possession because he didn't receive payment for fixing it. So it's not even stolen,
He's given the smoking gun away.
Yeah. So
this said, hold this gun for me. Yeah. He's just forgotten about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what do you expect? What do you expect from the guy? We know he's not a good egg, but really, I mean, do you think we should address this as well? Because, we've been on Reddit and a few things like that, and the conservative community almost seems a bit defeated by this, and there's a bit of a defeatist attitude, right? You were saying to me just before we made this video that everyone is a bit like kind of, the voting's already started. Yeah. We have to this. It's not about the votes anymore. It's not about the election. It's about the health of democracy. It's about bringing this to the surface. Come on, guys. Like, where's your passion?
There's 2 points. Right. Like the first point is, the early voting starting. So what? The early voting started 4 years ago when they were saying Trump had absolutely no chance, and he still won. And the mainstream media is trying to suppress this, but that's not reason to be so defeatist about it. Like, this information is important, and it's important that everyone hears about it so that they can make their own mind, because that's not being allowed right now.
So make sure you share this video.
Yeah, share this video, or share Giuliani's video, or share the New York Post where it's not banned, right? But share the information and get people to see it. Let them make up their own mind and let them figure it out. But here's the thing as well, even in a world where Biden wins the presidency, we can't let this then just disappear. We will have a man as president who is a massive risk to our democracies because he's basically being paid for by our enemies. And
like
how ironic,
Tony Soprano.
Yeah. How ironic that we've ended up in this situation after this whole Russiagate and Russia hoax for 3 years, saying, oh, Trump is a pawn of Putin. And, I've heard this before. People say when the left accuses you of doing something, it's probably because they're doing it themselves. And it seems that that's exactly what's happened here with this. So
it's consistent with his character too. He accuses you of being a racist, and he is a racist. He accuses you of taking money. I'll taking money. A bit of projection from Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, I think so too. And just the whole of the Democratic Party. You know, I know that there are some. I'm sure the majority of left-wing people, liberal-minded people, if they saw this information and they believed it to be true, would not want Joe Biden to be president, regardless of how much they hate Trump. So this really is about the corruption in the Democratic Party and Joe Biden. And the media suppressing this story. I know that there are many patriots who, if they saw this, would be just as outraged as we are, regardless of where they lie on the political spectrum. So, listen, I think that wraps it up for today. There's going to be more and more information coming out daily on this story. And as and when it does, we're going to be doing our best to break it down for you guys. And just kind of give you an idea on our reaction to what's happening. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, stay tuned, and thank you as always for watching.